make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of 8B, Rathbun Library wine service approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes. We get the regular minutes of September 7th, 2016. And make a motion for the approval of the minutes. The regular meeting, September 7th, 2016. Have a second on that?
Second.
A couple of minutes.
So go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead with yours first.
Second page, where it has just about last inquired about the level of security for the lands. That should be servers.
Now, which paragraph?
Right there.
Yeah.
Third paragraph.
Secure.
Yeah, level of security for the land should be servers.
I kept reading that. They asked about the security for the line. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even think.
And you're not even an IT person. And the only other thing, second to last page, we're talking about the expenses on the Shagbark Solar project. We should mention that the actual dollar amount. Let's see when I receive the amount. So I think we need to add the dollar amount.
Your expenses incurred by?
Right. It doesn't say in the minutes the dollar amount.
Okay.
So
I don't have that available.
I did $12,191.50.
Our expenses.
Right, the legal expenses.
Expenses today.
That's today, 12,000. Okay.
Okay. And I have one correction in 8A. We're talking about the Rolling Hill discussion. And you stated that one parcel of subdivision was recently sold. It was not sold. It was slated to be sold. And, you know, I've been contacted by the people who want to buy it, and the questions about being sold, but we have to have approval on it first before we can do that.
So it's was recently, is about to be sold?
They couldn't have sold it because it was no longer legal. Okay, with those amendments, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence. I don't really have any correspondence at all here. Anyone else have anything? Okay, move forward. First Selectmen's report. We have Isaac Mantle here to report on the proposed project for the Nichols Field. Behind the tennis court then.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm Isaac Mantle. My Eagle Scout project is hopefully a gazebo by the playground at Nichols Field, where the parents can sit and supervise their children in the shade. It's a dry area, as opposed to the current benches and picnic tables there, which can get rained on and wet. So, also along with that, I will be making a gravel path to the gazebo and benches inside of the gazebo for sitting. And so, the approximate cost of the gazebo, which will be fundraised by myself, is about $2,900. And the target completion date is, I'm going to begin construction in late March once the ground thaws, and at that point I plan to be finished by about mid-April, late April. And So far, I've already gotten approved by my troop and by the East Haddam Parks and Rec, so it's actually something that they would like to have.
Al?
I think that is about it.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions for you. I look at it, it's a beautiful project, I like what you're doing, it's a great addition to put there. I am a little bit concerned, how are you gonna build it? Are you gonna have people with the power tools?
Yes, well, as a scout, I myself cannot use power tools, but there are some people in my troop that are, we actually have one of the dads in our troop is an architect.
Mhm.
One does professional woodworking, and my dad here is not, is good with woodworking too, so I have adults who can do all this cutting, and I'm allowed to ask for my troop for help in the construction. So I have about 20 people that can help me with this.
Okay, how much of that can you prefab, pre-cut before you bring it to the field?
Actually, currently the plan is that we are going to cut all the pieces ahead of time, paint it all,
Mhm.
so it's sealed and weather resistant, and then we are going to just bring it to the field and then just assemble all the pieces together.
So there might be a little bit of cutting to make it fit and make it work, but largely cut. I've been involved with one before that had a lot of cutting, and I did all the cutting in my house. And then brought the wood to the location, it was assembled there. And I assume electric screwdrivers and, battery powered screwdrivers and that sort of thing assembling it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a great little project. Ernie?
No, I agree. I think it's a great project. I think it's a benefit to Nichols Field to have this there. We've already done some work of beautification there in the past year or so,
Mhm.
but I think this will just enhance what's already been done.
The one question I did have on it, it shows a wooden floor. Is that the intent to have a wooden floor when it's finished? Or stone or what?
It is intended that wooden floor that will be raised slightly, so, and there will be a ramp up to it too, so.
Okay, so it's handicap accessible as well.
One question, are you just gonna stain it either natural or will it be painted?
It's going to be painted similar to the one at St. Bridget's with white,
Yep.
and then I actually have someone who's donating shingles that are grayish, brownish color, so that will be.
Okay.
Nice handsome addition.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good project. Moving on, shared service report.
Do we need a motion to approve or?
There's no motion on that, is there?
You don't have to make a vote, can if you like.
If you'd like to.
It's not required, but I wasn't sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the project by Isaac Mantle for Nichols Field.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Once again, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck on fundraising.
Moving on, shared services report. I've got a copy here. Look at the Board of Ed. They're pretty well wrapped up. Asbestos is finished. That's certainly something I don't want to work on with anybody around. Boiler, last I heard, there was a little bit left to do on that, not much, but they were finishing it up. A little bit of pipe work. Roof replacement. And I'm not sure just where I've been away for a bit, so I'm not real sure where they're at. All they had is kind of the flashing and the finishing. And I'm not even sure what they are. Fire stops on the front of the building there that are sticking out. But that, once again, doesn't interfere with anything the school is doing. Chimney's finished. Driveway project is gorgeous. Go up and take a look at it. And far, far safer. I've been delivering grandchildren and children before that to that school for 9 to 30 some odd years. And it's never looked this good and not affected. And nice little features. My wife's got a little bit of an issue with her foot stepping up and down. And coming out of the auditorium cafeteria area, you had to use the door in the most southern part of that room. And it was a step down. It was always a problem because there was a lot of traffic when she was trying to leave. Somehow, I don't understand it yet, they brought the whole sidewalk outside up, so it's a nice flush fit, and it's real easy for her to get out of there now. So it's a lot of little subtle things that are done that are really nice. Nathan Hill Ray, fence repairs pending, damaged by a vehicle. And camera system is adjusted by the vendor to allow for better coverage in interior and exterior. Hill Ray High School, the athletic fields, they're all lined up. Water faucets, water fountains serve as water bottle fillers now that are delivered. And are pending installation in all the buildings. Transfer station has new signs. Bottle can donation container at the transfer station is set for cleaning and repainting. Anybody that's dealt with that knows how important it is. And the scouts, I know my son went to Philmont and part on what was collected there way back when. And every can and bottle I've got, well, I shouldn't say bottle because you don't want glass anymore. But every can and every plastic container goes into that and has for 30 years. And I hate to say that. I go down there, there's people just dumping cans into the hopper. And there's no good reason for that. There's no excuse for wasting that. They can use it, or if you don't want to do that, take it back and return it yourself. Air conditioning here has been repaired, I'm not sure. It's kind of warm here tonight. They could do a little better maybe. Rathburn has a new air conditioner. River House, the bathroom plumbing issues have been repaired. Nichols Field, Heritage Park, they're looking at a bollard lighting plan for the walking paths, which ought to make that a little more comfortable in the evening. That's nice. Senior Center, water retention pond is mowed finally. And Edward Williams Park was cleaned to brush.
I don't know, what's the schedule for, windows are open.
How do you want to hear it?
Well,
Oh, it's nice.
hopefully we'll get by without it tonight.
Thank you, though. What's the story with is there a schedule for, I can't think of, when they go around, they trim all the grass?
The
Yeah.
side,
With those flail mowers, that cost us $150,000, whatever. When
my
I'm-
understanding is that we're in a position where, with the staff we have and the equipment we have, we can make one pass through the town in the course of the summer. And I'm not aware that we have capacity to go that one pass. We tend to want to wait until it's
Right, until you can't see, until you keep losing out of the road.
And they're out there doing it, I know that for that.
Are those mowers that, with the big arms that reach over?
Yes.
They've done Alger Road, they've done my street.
The effort, I talked to Beth about it, the effort is to get out there and do everything at least once. If you have something particularly dangerous, they may come back and give a secondary. But it's a tough thing when you don't have that kind of staff. And unless we're willing to spend a lot more money, we will work out.
Do you remember when they came to pitch the purchase of that mower at the Board of Finance and you know, how beneficial it would be to the town and how much they could do with it? And they get out there once a year, once a summer? I mean,
We got a lot of roads in this town, that's the problem.
I know,
Do we only own one? Do we buy this one?
yeah,
Oh.
the $150,000. So, okay, so we just call and complain when
If you're not in an area where you feel it's unsafe,
Okay.
in particular, let Beth know.
I will do that.
I mean, I've got my driveway, I've got a big spruce tree, and about every second or third year, the branches just kind of droop and droop, and suddenly you can't see a doggone thing going down the road when you come out of the driveway. And I gotta get out there and clean them, but it's, you know,
But that's your property.
that's my property, but, you know, they're doing the same thing. And somebody has to tell them there's a hazard there, there's a problem, and you gotta
Okay.
come down and do this. And I think they'll attend to that once they realize it's something maybe exceptional going on. Anyway. Bloom Shapiro has substantially completed their annual audit. We'll see how we do. We've done better every year successively that I can remember. They're happier and happier with what we do, and feel it's better and better. You know, we're in better shape. We're going to start budgets. We're going to start looking at it. We're going to try to get moving early this year because the budget process is going to be tough. And I'm already looking at information from the state about how they're going to come after us in the next year, next couple of years. What they're going to do to try to balance their budget, and they're going to do it on the small towns back. And that's not pretty.
Could we put together a schedule when we're gonna be meeting with our sessions? Meeting with, is it kind of our?
Cindy's putting that together right now.
Okay.
We should have
When I
it.
get issued, then I will, I mean, because usually, we were talking about doing Saturday one.
We did them in February, right?
Well, you'll do it in February, yeah.
February.
Those Saturday sessions are far more effective than doing it in bits and pieces
Right.
here and there.
Just for planning purposes.
Yeah, I just don't, she hasn't issued the date that we're gonna get them yet, so I have to worry about that.
Okay.
And, you know, we're gonna have a chore this year. It's gonna be tough. No question about it. Technology, we're moving forward. They've installed a lot of new stuff, some of which you would probably understand far better than I, Ernie. I have no idea what elementary school, high school teacher, LT, laptops, I guess. And they're doing training and assistive opportunities. I don't fully understand what that means. You probably do.
It must be some software that's specific for the teachers to use.
We're moving forward.
Nothing unusual there.
Nothing unusual. You had asked about legal expenses. The number right now for the Shagbark legal expenses is $13,394. It's gone up a little bit more. I'm sorry?
It's crazy.
My understanding is that I spoke with Julia last week while I was away. I called her, and she said that they should be doing the final paperwork today with Ken, which is their financial people. And I haven't heard anything from them. I'm planning on stopping in tomorrow, finding out just what happened and where they stand. And one other sidebar in that, Ernie, you had asked last time about the budget and the impact on the budget. When we were putting the budget together, which starts in December and runs through March, no contract has been signed, nothing has been done, and there is no provision within this budget assuming that we're going to get any benefit from the Shagbark project. So there's no impact whatsoever on the budget by what's happening right now. There was a savings, and that was a result of, we went through a broker, we were working with Constellation, and we did realize some savings in terms of electricity on that.
Right.
And those are reflected in the budget, but there's absolutely nothing connected to Shagbark in that budget right now.
Okay. I guess we'll have to find out where they stand with the construction, the budget for next year, or not, whether the project.
That's what I'm talking about. They have, I have to use the right terminology here, so. It's the effective date of the contract, which is June 10th, 2016. And they have 365 days to complete the project from that time by the contract. So they have to be complete by June 10th, 2017. I spoke with Julia a couple of weeks ago. She said they're anticipating that April, somewhere in there, March, April, they have the project complete. So we're going to have to see what happens.
Are we pretty much done on legal expenses now? We've signed and everything at this point, right?
I would hope so.
Right.
I would hope so. I don't want to see any more expenses coming in, I'll tell you.
Do we ever get a number from us? What the building department is spending, any revenue
He was
yet?
supposed to give it to me before he left, and he didn't, and he's out of that league right now.
Okay. Because that'll also make sure the revenue also.
He's due to come back on Monday, so as soon as he does, I will hit him up for that as well.
Okay. Just if we need to stay on top of this, what we're spending for this project. Thank you.
All right, that's all I have. Citizens' concerns. Anything out there? Okay, unfinished business. Already did that, Shag Bar Solar project discussion, and I think I covered that pretty much already. New business. Grange Hall is requesting permission to serve beer and wine with dinner. This year's Thunder in the Valley. We've given them permission every year. That's a Friday, Saturday deal. I'm going to make a motion to approve serving beer and wine at Grange Hall for Moose Drum and Fife muster on October 14th, 15th. Any second?
Second.
Any discussion?
They'll have proper security.
Right, wasn't there an issue?
A couple of years
Years
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
That had to do with an attack within this building by a guy and a young lady. I'm not sure that anyone could have precluded that. I don't know where he came from. He's in jail now.
Yeah.
And certainly belongs there.
They now have a police officer that stays over.
Yeah, there is-
on site when they have the-
There is an officer available, but I'm not sure that, I think he was probably available at that time too, when the attack took place.
He was, they didn't used to hire one.
But that, okay, they're hiring him
That,
now
because of that, they now insist on having a police officer stay
Maybe a little
overnight
more
when they're that.
A little bit more secure than it was. That's good. Board commission
We
change.
have to vote, we didn't vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There we go. Don't let me get away with it. There we go. Okay. Next, Conservation Commission, changes. Okay, Linda, forgive me, the ones that are highlighted in yellow need to be reappointed?
Yep, read the motion has all the names
Motion to reappoint Paul Sienna, Charlotte Kelston, and Marilyn Gleason to 2-year terms to expire June 30th, 2018 as regular members, and Joseph Zade for a 2-year term to expire June 30th, 2018 as an alternate member of the Conservation Commission. Are you second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
On to my favorite, tax refunds. I hate to give money back. It's not my nature. Make a motion to award tax refunds in the amount as presented. $214.25 to Honda Lease Trust, $460.86 to ACAR, I guess that's how you say it, Leasing Limited, $191.57 to Honda Lease Trust. Get a second on that? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Okay, we have the Rathburn Library wine service as a additional item on it that we added, 8D. And I'm going to make a motion to approve wine service at the Rathburn Library for an artist reception on September 23rd, 2016. A second? Okay, and this is an artist reception after hours at the Rathburn, so shouldn't be an issue there. I think they can handle that. Any discussion? Right, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I was asked, the Leos want to have a small free petting zoo at their apple festival at Grange Hall on October 8th. Is that allowed? And I indicated that I had no problem with doing that, so long as the animals were small in general. Sue, you agree with that?
No.
October 8th.
The second half of item number 2.
Oh.
Just so you're aware of that. We got a public comment? Anything from the public? Yes.
Can you tell me where on the agenda that last item was?
I'm sorry?
Where on the agenda that last item was about the petting zoo?
I'm not, it's not on the agenda, it's on a note we have here. And I'm just making people aware of it. It's not an agenda item. But I did grant permission, and I just wanted to give the other selectmen an opportunity to comment on that.
Doesn't there need to be a vote?
I could have had it under correspondence as well. It just happened to fall here in our paperwork.
You don't think it should be on the agenda as an item to discuss? Isn't that how this is supposed to work?
Correspondence, I bring whatever I want in.
But that's not where we discuss it.
Okay, and if you want me to take it off, I'll take it off, take it back. I mean,
It's just
I just
correspondence.
want it to be more, we have rules to follow, so I just want you to follow the rules next time.
begging your pardon, I'll tell you what, I retract that, and when we get down here to select this discussion, I'll bring it forth again. Terry?
I have a couple of things. Couple meetings, previous meetings, we've been talking about the Goodspeed Airport, and a lot of blame was put on Harvey Thomas for not bringing it forward. At one point you said we didn't know about it, it just popped up. At another meeting you said we didn't know about it till Bob Kastner did his plan for the village. And Harvey Thomas got pretty much a beat down in this room for not bringing it. However, going back through the minutes, you were at all those meetings
I was
as
there
well, and you were a selectman at the time. So why was Harvey taking the brunt of this?
At that point, I commented that I should have been aware as well.
You were involved in the vote.
And you know what? Looking back through the minutes and seeing what was said about it, what I found was that for me, it was never an issue, not anything that I thought was terribly important. We were watching the land swap across the way and fighting like the devil to make that stop.
Not in 2014 we weren't, and not in 2013.
It had been an issue, a big issue. And what Mr. Tim
No.
was bringing forth, in my mind, was a very generous and a very good thing. So I saw it at the moment, I didn't see it as an issue.
Right, but the land swap was way years before that.
But it still resonates to this day in my mind. Forgive me, I'm very much an open space person. And that resonated with me. I liked what I saw happening down at the airport. I thought it was a good idea. And I did not see it as an issue. It was only when Bob Kastner brought it up, started talking about it in terms of economic development, that it started to resonate for me on that level, and I needed to investigate that. And we did.
Well, I think Mr. Harvey should get at least an apology because he took the brunt of not being forward and brought, and you were
Harvey and I have
responsible.
discussed it already.
The other thing is you talk about the airport flooding. When has the airport flooded?
1938, it was probably under 12 to 15 feet of water. 1955 was probably under 8 to 10 feet of water. I saw it flood in 1992, and I helped push airplanes up on the high ground.
In 92 or 82?
92. 82, it was much deeper. I didn't have an airplane down there at the time. By 92, I did. And I was down there, and I have a photograph right with me. Probably somewhere. I got a photograph taken by Hartford Current showing the airport completely underwater.
Well, then does it make sense to put another building there? And you were talking about putting an education building there.
Existing buildings and a small educational building, which is not going to be impacted adversely by a little bit of flooding, and maybe washed away by a big flood and then replaced, but a small, not significant building. We're not talking about great big buildings that pose a threat to anyone or anything.
And that's only if Mr. Mellon wants to sell it.
I'm sorry?
That's only if Mr. Mellon decides he wants to sell it.
Nothing happens so long as it's an airport.
Right.
Not one thing. And frankly, no person goes on the property until it's not an airport. That's federal law. Once Mr. Mellon, should he decide, I hope he doesn't, but should he decide to discontinue the airport and decide that he no longer wants to own the property, then it might be offered for sale to someone else. My own opinion is the town should snap it up at that point and use it for open space adjacent to our downtown area. The concern that we've had is very simple. the way the wording of the easement is, it could preclude any person from ever being allowed to walk on that, just on the soil, through the woods, through the brush, that no person could go on the property at all. We wanted to make it clear that that's not the case. That's what the lawyer told us, but when we read it, we're a little uncertain. We've asked him to make sure that's the case. We may need some space on here to service our waste treatment plant. We don't have a lot of room. Right now, we access over here, put a property. We want to make sure, and once again, the lawyer assured us that it would not be an issue, but it's not in the agreement. We want to make sure it's in the agreement. And we also asked, should people be allowed down there, we'd like to be able to have a bathroom. Perhaps in that little hangar, or the little bit of
Well,
an
that goes
office,
into the whole
round
safety.
building.
That goes into the whole airport safety, Patriot 9/11, with people on runways and airports.
Yeah, and this is all after the fact, it ceases to be an airport. You know, once it ceases to be an airport, all those fences come down, it's open space. From the standpoint of the village, and what we'd like to see happen there, that's a wonderful ambiance, the ability to go down to picnic, to walk along the river. There is no frontage available on the river right now for people, other than the parking lot for the Opera House and our little boat launch. Other than that, you can't get to the river. It'd be awfully nice in the future if that river were available to people to enjoy. And that's my goal. I want to see that that river is available to people to enjoy. I want to have people have access to it. I want to make sure that we can deal with our waste treatment plant if we have to. And I want to make sure that those people that are down there are not inconvenienced. At my age, I'm very conscious of the need for bathrooms. Forget it, but that's the way it is. And having just been out to Yellowstone and traveling around, you know, there's a wonderful little kiosk they've got mounted every so far, all through the park, are a godsend. So I'm very conscious of that aspect of it.
My other thing is the paramedic service. You stated that the people, seniors on Medicare, Husky, and
I don't
Medicaid.
know about Husky. Don't.
Lynn asked that question specifically last meeting.
I don't know what Husky is. I'm not familiar with it. So
Well, she
forgive
asked
me.
that question and you said they wouldn't be billed. I have a letter from Middlesex stating that these people, nothing changes, they still will be billed, even with us paying them their $9,000 this year.
We're
nothing
speaking of
changes.
Husky people.
No, everybody.
No.
Yes, I have it right here from Mr. Jim Center.
You'll have to give me that because the information I have is contrary to that.
He says patients will continue to still be billed by East Haddam. There's no change in the current billing practice.
Which patients?
All patients for East Haddam.
That's paramedics, not the
Yeah.
East Haddam.
It says Medicare
Haddam.
patients will not receive a bill
Ambulance.
from paramedic services from Middlesex Hospital. They will receive a bill instead for these services through the East Haddam ambulance.
Yeah, the
The
ambulance
ambulance will still bill.
will still bill and their insurance will still pay as they always have. We're talking not about ambulance service, we're
I
talking about
understand
paramedic
that.
service.
You said they wouldn't be charged for the paramedic
Paramedic.
service. They are going to be charged, but only through East Haddam ambulance instead of directly through the paramedic.
Let me say it another way. I was discussing the paramedic services, not the ambulance services. They're separate. They are not one service.
They're going to be billed as one service under
No.
one.
The East Haddam ambulance cannot bill for a paramedic that they don't employ. And they can't bill for
Paramedics
that.
are not part of our ambulance
That's
service.
not part of their service.
Totally
Well, there seems to
distinct
be a
and
huge
separate.
disconnect because this is not what he says. in
He
his
said
letter.
paramedic service, that
Right
East
now.
Haddam ambulance will bill for paramedic services. I find that hard to believe.
Let me
It's
put
totally
it a different way.
Tax ID number.
The Middlesex Paramedic Program has a long-standing agreement with the East Haddam Ambulance that they will bill Medicare for services provided when a paramedic is on board the ambulance providing care to the patient.
Right now, your services are what's called bundled,
Mm-hmm.
just like that. They're linked together. They're two separate agencies, but they do bundle the bill. What we have been told, I have the documentation here, if you want to read it, you can. I'm sure you FOI'd it
I
already.
have it.
And what they told us, and what I continue to understand, is that if we do not pay the $9,000, they will, for Medicare, Medicaid, and I don't know about Husky, I don't know where Husky fits in there. That is Medicaid or Medicaid? And they use the term Medicaid somewhere in what I've read, so I assume that's linked. I'm not sure we have anybody like that, but maybe we do. They're going to unbundle it so that the two bills are separate. You got your ambulance bill now, which your insurance, which your Medicare are going to contribute towards, as they always have. You've got the paramedic, which is now separate for and this is if we don't pay $9,000, they're going to unbundle them. They become separate. I contacted Connecticut, and it took a while for them to understand what I was driving at. And they said, here's how it is. If Medicare pays your wraparound insurance, I happen to be under that policy, your wraparound insurance will pay when Medicare pays a portion, wraparound pays additional. For the paramedics, your Medicare pays absolutely nothing. They do not pay for that. Now you get them unbundled, so they're separate items. And what happens is if the Medicare does not pay for a service, the wraparound will not pay for it either. So that bill becomes totally the responsibility of the individual who received the service, 100%. Okay? And this is me digging like the devil, going to Connecticut and pushing them until they understand what I'm trying to say. Oh, is that what you meant? No. In that case, the bill is the individuals. So your wraparound insurance, what you currently have, will not, or actually not currently, because this goes back to what, June, July, somewhere in there.
Can we get a copy of that letter?
Yep.
A copy so you can.
But that's my understanding of it right now.
He said he spoke with you at length right after, the Thursday after the first Selectmen's meeting, and was trying to explain it.
Bundle bill, exactly. Yeah. County's Haddam has signed a contract that will continue this agreement. That's the $9,000. Medicare pays, will not receive a bill for paramedic service. That's what he said, yeah. But had we not signed the contract, they would receive a bill.
They would receive a bill in the area of $401 to $767, depending on the level of care needed.
Precisely. And it would have been a personal bill.
But at the Selectmen's, at the finance meeting, you said they would get a bill from $1,500 to $2,000.
And at that one, I had numbers followed up in my mind. I've been told stuff and I didn't fully understand it. The numbers 401, 767 are exactly the number.
That's the numbers you presented here.
Yeah. And that is the correct numbers. The cost.
So these people are going to get their bill.
No.
For the
Yes.
ambulance.
The ambulance is billing, it's because it's bundled, the ambulance is doing all the billing.
People will not receive a bill for the paramedic side, which they would have received.
Okay, if that's what you understand by it, they're saying, their finance director and this guy is saying that it's not true.
Even this says it's true.
No, it says they're gonna get a bill from the ambulance, the ambulance is going to do their billing.
The ambulance is going to do the billing as they always have, and your insurance will cover it, perhaps not all of it. I don't know how it exactly works from individual to individual. The ambulance side is still going to be there. You are going to have a separate bill from the paramedics, over and above. You know, if you have a deductible, you pay the deductible. Is that not correct? On insurance?
I assume so.
I mean, my understanding, and I haven't had occasion to use the service very much, so I don't know for sure. My understanding is that when you use the ambulance, your insurance company, you send them the bill, and they pay a certain portion, and there's a deductible that you have to pick up. That's fairly common with our coverages right now, as I understand it. When it's bundled, it was all one bill. When it's unbundled, it's two separate bills. And all we're talking about is a parametric bill. That 401,767 numbers. 59,000 to 108,000, depending on what level it was at.
I would suspect though,
So-
even with one bill, there's probably separate diagnosis codes
Yes.
for the two, right?
Yes.
So one's gonna be picked up by your Medicare Part A, I would think that would be the Part A, and then your supplemental will kick in on anybody who has a Medicare Advantage plan or something
And
like
as
that.
long as they're linked.
Right.
And
Well, it's linked on a bill, but there's separate diagnosis codes, so when they go through the system, they'll be paid separately.
the key to this is the term unbundling.
Right.
Suddenly, instead of receiving one bill that your insurance company will deal with, there's two bills.
Right.
And they're separate.
Two separate codes.
And once that happens, and this is what Middlesex said they were going to do, they said if you don't pay for this, we unbundle the Medicare patients. So now it's two separate bills, one of which will be covered under your insurance, however so it were in the past, and the other of which you're fully responsible for. I don't know, I can say any clearer than that.
So if your insurance company gets a bill from the East Haddam ambulance and it includes a paramedic service, they're gonna pay for the
Only if
paramedic
it's
service.
bundled.
Right, so if the East Haddam ambulance, and you understand, right, so if East Haddam ambulance sends, they come to my house and the paramedic comes, and 2 weeks later I get a bill from East Haddam ambulance, within that bill, it's gonna be itemized, and like Ernie said, with different diagnosis codes, there's gonna be one for a paramedic. And then at that, because
It's because it's bundled.
it's all incorporated with East Haddam ambulance.
East
The-
Haddam ambulance becomes the person sending out the bill for the paramedics.
Right, so now at that point, the insurance company will pick it up because it's one bill coming from East Haddam ambulance.
But the minute, and this is what Middlesex said they were going to do, and it's stated as clear as the sun in the morning, we will unbundle the bill. The paramedic part will become a separate item. It will no longer be bundled. When I went to Connecticut and I said, when that happens, will you cover the parametric side in any way, to any degree? They said no. They said only if Medicare is paying the bill, a portion of the bill. It's on their agenda, their list of things that they'll pay for. The minute this is separate, we don't pay for it. They don't pay for it, we don't pay for it. And that's how it's been described, that's how I understand it to be. I gotta tell you, I went to the advisory meeting up at Middlesex Hospital, spent an evening there, and it was very interesting. What I had hoped for was some discussion of the cost and how we were going to deal with it, how we were perhaps going to reduce it, how we were going to get the state back for that $1 million they pulled. And there was none of that discussion. The discussion was all about, well, what do you want to see on the advisory report? How do you want the report laid out? I'm not interested in how the report's laid out. I'm interested in having it cost less. And that wasn't even discussed. That wasn't even brought up as a matter.
They also haven't addressed what happens if towns back out of it. I asked them that if we would get a supplemental bill, and that hasn't been addressed either. They don't know what they're going to do if towns back out.
They don't know how they're going to handle it, but if the town doesn't pay it, the individuals are going to get billed on it. It's just that simple. Either the towns were, this year at $9,000, it's within bounds.
But you keep saying the individual's not going to get billed. They are going to get billed. They are definitely going to get a bill.
But they're not going to get a paramedic.
They are wrapped into the ambulance.
No, they're unbundled. All the ambulance will be billing for is the ambulance side of it. The paramedic, it's not.
No,
Is
no,
it- is
no,
it
that's
possible-
not-
They're
that's
gonna
not
bill the
possible.
paramedic on the ambulance.
Yes.
With a separate diagnosis.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Now, it will,
And it will be paid because it's a bundle payment.
Right.
So they're still going to get billed.
If we didn't do the contract, they would have unbundled
So it's
it.
the same incident. It's the
Right.
same-
Okay, but now because we did the contract, they're
Because we
gonna,
did the contract, nobody's going to
it's
get that bill.
staying it as a
They
bundle.
are, wait a minute, you're not going to get, they are going to get the bill.
They're
It's
not
gonna
gonna have
come
to
in one
pay
bill.
it.
They're not going to get in two separate bills. They're still going to get a bill for
It's
the
going to stay
paramedic.
bundled,
It's
nothing's
gonna
going to
be
change
paid
for
by,
it, because we paid the fee. You know, this is semantics we're talking
No, we're not. We're
What-
talking about people's,
What happens if the insurance company pays East Haddam ambulance, but they don't pick up the cost of the paramedic
There's
on
no
that bill?
There's no bill on the paramedic side. We pay upfront by as a town. There will be no paramedic bill.
Even if Medicare doesn't pay, let's say,
Yeah, even if
let's
that-
say the ambulance is 100 and the paramedic, I get a bill, the ambulance is 100 and the paramedic is
There will be no
300.
paramedic bill on it.
Insurance company pays the 100, but they say we're not paying the paramedic bill, it's not covered.
There's still,
It has to be.
there will be no paramedic side to it.
yes,
I think, why don't you table this and we can get.
That's what
writing.
confused me, because even with the insurance companies, with some bills, they'll
Can we
pay
table
certain
this,
things, but
please,
not
and
pay
get
everything.
this in writing, okay? On the town side.
It just doesn't make sense.
I just don't want,
Actually, it does.
well, let's just table it for now.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, I'm not gonna table it, and let's move
And
on.
let's move on to, and follow up, put it on our list to follow up with for next meeting. Get something in writing.
Go to one more question.
Just one more question.
I have a question.
Then,
When you were talking about wraparound, you were referring to people's supplemental insurance, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. What if people don't have supplemental insurance? Because many Medicare patients don't have supplemental
Okay, we are
insurance.
gonna table this and we are gonna talk about it at the next meeting. Let's get it
well,
all in
they offered
writing.
to come down and answer questions. Maybe we could have them come down at the next one of the meetings.
let's see what we
Is this a done deal already? It's a done deal.
It's a done
The
deal.
water's over the dam.
It's done
We
for
can
this
sit-
year. It's not done for next year. It's not, and we don't know if it's done for this year.
So.
Is part of Obama, you have to have a Medicare Advantage plan? Isn't that part of the Healthcare Reform Act?
No.
Healthcare
No.
says you will have Medicare.
Yeah, I think you have to,
But you don't have to have a supplemental
Not
plan.
the
They cost a lot, they don't pay
Are
much.
you sure it doesn't kick in like
Yes.
in another future?
You're
And
not
then they can
required-
take these Obamacare classes every year. And there's certain stuff that kicks in different years that we.
You don't need, you have to pay for supplemental.
It's paid for,
And
I
it's
think,
very
by the
expensive, it
employer.
doesn't cover a lot. It only covers 20% of the 80% that's not, of the 20% that's not covered.
Let's leave this.
Well, before we leave it, can I make a suggestion? We listen to the questions, don't debate them, listen to them, go away, come up with answers, have them here to talk to us, and then get the answers. There's clearly a difference of opinion, reading the same letter. So why don't we research it and come back here with some answers rather than beating each other up over it? Other questions?
Anything else?
Second time.
Yeah, we'll put them together and if we could email them, so you have them.
He has, I gave him.
Okay, all right, fine.
He has.
But there was a question about the wraparound insurance. Do we
Yeah,
have that one all?
I have that in the notes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Selectmen's discussion.
I have a question.
Oh, you had I'm sorry, Eddie. Go.
Where is the town with the Rolling Hills Road? How is,
We've got all the agreements in place, all the signatures are in place. And it was supposed to be completed by the end of this month. And they had an increase in the cost, Pastor Mike did at the end of the month. And we went to them and said, let's do it. And they said, oh, we already got some contracts, but we'll have it done by the middle of October, thereabouts. And we won't charge you any additional monies. It's going to be the same price. So that will be completed by the, basically going to start on the 17th and have it wrapped up this coming month. And they simply, to be honest, because there was back and forth, and they're sitting there all ready to go, and they took on another contract or two because they just didn't know where we were going. And then when we finally got all the signatures, and that was really a chore, let me tell you. And now it's going to go forward and be completed, so that will be done.
so at the present time, this is gonna cost the town around $12,000?
About 19.
$19,000?
And that, we've been blessed by having things come in well under budget, and we're not busting any budget, we don't need any additional monies. We're in fine
The
shape.
town has no recourse to the original bill.
I think not. I mean, that's something we're going to explore, but I don't think so. And to be honest, unless his lawyers were very foolish, we're not gonna have any access.
My second question was, I sit at most of these meetings and I remember hearing the discussion about the Shag Park legal bills. And I seem to recall at one point that Shag Park was going to reimburse the town for the legal bills, or the legal bills are going to be wrapped into.
We tried to get that into the, I wanted it in my contract. In the building permit discussion, we had that discussion in the, remember with the building, am I calling it the right thing?
Yes.
Building permit
Yeah.
stuff, and we wanted to add legal fees into that. I don't know how that ever got finalized with, I don't know, Martha.
I don't think we got it. We wanted it, I remember the discussion, I think we both wanted it, in there to.
They wanted the waiver of the building permit fees and.
They wanted to get a lower reduction, and we wanted to say all costs, including legal fees.
And we ended up giving them 50% off, 25% off, 75% off?
We're paying actual costs, I thought. Did we agree
They're
that?
paying actual costs.
They're paying actual costs.
They said it didn't, I don't know, I have to look it up.
And that's why Russ was gonna keep track of like a spreadsheet or something, is
Isn't
actual
the legal
dollars.
part of the actual costs?
Well, this is legal, the contract, I think that at that time it was the,
So we were trying to get it, the legal.
we were trying to get it right, but
To,
I think all we ended up getting was just Russ's actual, and any engineers or any type of professional assistance that he needs to bring in, they're gonna pay that, if I remember, the actual cost. Is that what you recall? So,
yeah,
but I don't think, not legal for looking at the contract, we didn't get that.
we didn't get that, and that we wanted.
We wanted